Hello everybody and welcome. I'm your host Americles. I apologize for my awful upload rate. The truth is, despite making great strides after being victimized by a for-profit college, getting a worthless degree and being saddled with debt, which I managed to pay off and now finally I live on my own, that doesn't mean I'm out of the woods. It constantly feels like I'm just several minor unfortunate events away from going right back where I started. What little free time I do have is spent devising harebrained schemes to make more money, and unfortunately this channel isn't one of them. At least not yet. Because once I have 1,000 subscribers, I get to enable ads and annoy everyone. And then I get to collect that sweet $1.31 a month in ad revenue. And so without any further ado, let's move on to today's topic. Donald Trump and tariffs. Oh boy, here we go. There's probably nothing more polarizing in this country than talking about what's going on in the White House, but I want to try and stay as objective as possible. And if any of my predictions come true, I hope to gain a little bit of credibility. Last night, Donald Trump decided to institute tariffs on Mexico, effective June 10th, on all goods coming into the United States. He wants Mexico to stop the flow of illegal immigrants. Quote, at which time the tariffs will be removed. A statement from the White House has elaborated that should they fail to cooperate, the tariffs will continue to increase. So we will start at 5%, increase to 10, 15, and finally end at 25% by October. We are still a bit sparse on details as to what exactly the White House expects and what sort of numbers they expect. I mean, is it going to be, do they expect a 10% reduction in illegal immigration, 50%, 100%? We do not know. The closest thing to a clue is the acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, has said that if Mexico's President Obrador were to sign an agreement to declare Mexico a quote-unquote safe third country, that might just do the trick, which would mean that an asylum seeker coming out of Central South America now would get to claim asylum in Mexico, which they don't get to do at the moment because Mexico is not considered a safe country. And that's what generally happens if an asylum seeker reaches American soil. If they reach American soil, then they have the right to claim asylum here, which means the right to a trial. So what does this really mean in the grand scheme of things? Why now? Why is he doing this? And what are the implications? I mean, to start, when you impose tariffs on any country, it's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot and your adversary in the foot, and you hope that your adversary bleeds to death first. Because as we have seen with China, it has sent the stock markets tumbling. And presumably, it has made things more expensive for companies, particularly ones who manufacture in China. Or hell, sell to China for that matter. Mexico is no exception. We have a lot of car manufacturers, Ford, GM, and even abroad, I believe Volkswagen manufactures cars in Mexico. A lot of appliances are made in Mexico, some electronics. We import a lot of produce from Mexico. So yes, we will feel some of the pain. Americans will feel some of the pain of these tariffs if and when they go into effect. I think the timing of this is very key. The 2020 elections are really beginning to ramp up. The Democrats have been in full swing, and Donald Trump has actually just announced that he will seek re-election, and he will make the announcement on June 18th. So in terms of optics, what does Trump need to run a successful campaign? As far as his constituents are concerned, he owes them a wall. And in fact, he owes them a wall that Mexico has paid for. So I think one of two things will happen here, maybe three things at most. In the first scenario, Mexico rattles its saber right back at Donald Trump and says, screw you, pendejo, we're not playing your stupid game, we're gonna tariff you right back, and they basically do what China does. Now, what this will do is, so we will institute those tariffs, and they'll continue to go up, and eventually Donald Trump will probably, his administration will probably collect enough money from these tariffs to say, hey, look, it seems we have collected a lot of money, perhaps enough money to even build a wall. Look, constituents, Donald Trump made Mexico pay for the wall. He will then calm down with the rhetoric, he will remove the tariffs, he will call it a victory because Mexico paid for the wall, and that's the kind of victory he takes onto the campaign trail. Perhaps people that really dislike Trump won't really see that as a victory, but I bet you his constituents will. In the next scenario, Mexico obliges Donald Trump and says, okay, we will work with you and we will try to stem illegal immigration. In which case, Donald Trump turns to his constituents and says, hey, look, art of the deal, folks. We have reduced illegal immigration. He then removes the tariffs, perhaps both on China and Mexico. The stock markets rebound, the economy's really strong, and things will probably look pretty good for him on the campaign trail. And the third option, which I don't find as likely, Congress goes to stonewall this effort to block the tariffs. But if they had that power, and I'm no expert, but if they did have that power, I feel like they would have done it with China and the China tariffs. So far, the only development that we've seen is that Mexico's Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard tweeted Friday afternoon that he would meet with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and the Mexican Foreign Minister has said that, quote, there is a willingness for dialogue. We will be firm and we will defend the dignity of Mexico. So it's looking like, the two sides are willing to talk, and on Wednesday, there will be probably an elaboration on what the White House wants Mexico to do, and Mexico will respond whether they're willing to do any of those things. But it seems to me that regardless of the outcome, Donald Trump will come out on top as far as his constituents are concerned, because it will be relatively easy for him to claim victory regardless of how the deal goes. Either the tariffs, quote unquote, pay for the wall, or Mexico will work together with the White House to stem the flow of illegal immigrants. And that's all I have for now. It'll be very interesting to see how this unfolds and whether any of my predictions actually hold true. So let me know what you think of all of this in the comments below. I'm trying kind of a new format, slightly shorter videos so that I can publish more often. Please consider subscribing. It really helps my channel. And I will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.